Subscribe to my YouTube channel and click the bell icon for the latest film interviews, features, and recommendations on the movies that matter.
Sarita, it's good to see you. This is wonderful because I've followed your career and I've enjoyed everything you've done. This is really wonderful. Thank you for taking out the time today. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. I followed your career, so
you're so
we're
kind.
equal.
Thank you. Sarita, is it just me or am I right in saying that this film, Evil Eye, it represents something quite important? Here's a film that's produced by one of Hollywood's biggest horror studios, Blumhouse. It's a story that taps into a cultural heritage of Indian mythology. It's set entirely around South Asian characters, Indian characters, with a brown cast in practically every role, including the lead. Sarita, as someone who's worked in the business for nearly 30 years, you've done everything from being the token brown girl in an American film to the doctor and to the key roles in films which are completely American. Also, played the parts where it doesn't matter what the nationality is. Given that that's been the career, do you see this as a major moment? Do you see this as something quite big?
I'm realizing the more especially we're getting reactions to the film, this is big because it's also timely with the moment that's happening in the business. There's a bit of a revolution, but with most revolutions, the result is very slow. And we feel like this is an example where, okay, it's all South Asian. It's, the story is universal, even though on one level it's very Indian. I've had so many friends who don't know anything about India and they were like, oh, I relate to this mother. And Blumhouse, when I saw the email, I was like, wait a minute, Amazon, Blumhouse, Priyanka, it was so like, oh, finally.
Right.
Yeah, it was great.
How hard or not does it continue to be for a brown actor in Hollywood?
It's funny. The other day I was thinking, no matter what happens in my career, I always feel like in 2 months, I'm back to square one. And I don't know if that's partly just being South Asian in an industry, in America. And I don't know if it's also, I feel a bit like a farmer in that I attack work like, oh, it doesn't matter, is this highly paid, is this low paid, do I like the character, do I like the script? But each time I think, oh, now I'm gonna get better offers. Not necessarily, It really, my career has gone up and then sideways, up, down, up, and I couldn't explain why.
Do you find yourself saying no to things that are sort of reinforcing the stereotypes, the Indian stereotype, the South Asian stereotype?
Yeah. A lot, yes. And lately, especially, you have to, just to preserve your revolution. At the beginning, it was hard when you don't have much work and you're like, oh, maybe I could make this into something. It was trickier and I'm sure I made some mistakes, but now it's easier just to be like, nope, I don't know anyone who talks like this.
Right. So much of it is about being there at the right time, isn't it, Sarita? In that sense, you started when there was zero representation. I mean, Mississippi Masala, when you began in 91, I mean, you just didn't see brown faces unless that story was specifically about, about an Asian family or an Indian family. And those stories just didn't make it to the screen.
They weren't there, yeah.
How much has someone like Priyanka Chopra, who's also one of the producers on this film, been able to move the needle? I mean, of course, as an actor, but also as a producer, do you feel like, again, being at the right time, at the right place at the right time, do you feel like there has been some progress?
Well, what impresses me is Priyanka, where she's at in her career, which is great. She could just continue solo thinking about her career. And the fact she wanted to produce something and get other actors to be in it and to be represented. And she said somewhere she really wanted to have an Indian lead on a poster, and she has two women on a poster. And I thought when she said that, I was like, oh, she's using her power.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
I have to say that was so exciting. When I saw that poster of Evil Eye, I was like,
I know.
we're getting there. We're getting there. This is big. Yeah.
No, when I saw the poster, I was like, I'm on the poster,
Right.
huge moment. Second, two of us are on the poster, and it's a cool poster, and it's not over explaining anything. It's not like trying to show where we are or, oh, let you know that it's India. No,
Right.
it's just two faces blended. I was shocked. Yeah, happy.
How much have the smaller roles in the big films helped towards getting where one wants to? I mean, you were in A Perfect Murder. You've been in so many things. It's, rattling off your filmography is literally like putting out, all the most exciting things that have been happening. How much does that help get closer to what the ultimate goal is, or what the dream is?
When you're doing a small role in a big movie, it doesn't feel like you're getting closer because no one really talks to you. You feel like, I shouldn't talk to the star. It's a little intimidating. And the more you do it, the more you realize those films help you more than playing a lead in an independent. And that always confused me. And now I'm realizing, it's almost like, they trust you because you were in a big movie. It doesn't matter if you were only on there for 2 days. Right. It's crazy, our system, but that's the truth. And I learned a lot because until you're on many sets, you have no idea. Like acting is one thing, and then being on a set is another thing,
Right, I hear you. Let's talk about Evil Eye. I really enjoyed the performance. I thought, for one, I feel like it's not the character that one would typically see you in. It's not the kind of role that you do very often. You're, of course, Usha, an Indian mother in Delhi who's obsessed with getting her daughter married. She's meddlesome, she's controlling, she will resort to emotional blackmail if needed. Of course, there's a reason why she is this way, and we'll try not to give away too much at this point. But I thought you played her really well and very authentically. What made her interesting? What made her a character that you wanted to play? Why was she interesting to play?
Rajiv, I have to be honest, when they asked me to do it, the brothers, Rajiv and Alan, I said, forgive me, but I'm not really sure why you're asking me. Right. This is not what I would offer me. And the more they talked and the more they explained to me, they wanted this to be grounded and real and deceptive at the beginning. Right. And then the more I realized this past coming into this woman's life, I thought, oh my God, I'm almost playing two characters blended. Right. And then I kind of fell in love with the idea of doing something for Indian women to represent, like all my aunties, like when I hang out with them in the kitchen and the stuff they tell me, I was like, it's time to put this on a big platform. But I have to be careful not to do it stereotypically. So it was tricky. Right. But yeah, I have to say it was one of the most challenging things I've done.
Right. I think it's really interesting that it's not a pure horror film. I mean, it's not what you expect from, it actually starts off quite funny. I mean, this overbearing mother from India torturing her daughter all the way in New Orleans. And of course, then it sort of becomes this psychological horror, psychological thriller actually, until it sort of reveals its cards in the end. Did you find that interesting that it's actually what you said earlier? It's sort of deceptive, right? It sort of starts off as something else.
As we were doing it, I started to realize it's almost like the story of trauma is the horror story put under an umbrella of horror. Yeah. And so together you don't know which are more horrific. And we didn't want to overemphasize either because it's also a thriller, and we wanted people to kind of follow it like, is the mother right? No, the daughter's right. Like, who's right and who's evil? So, but yeah, the story of trauma almost is what it's about,
I have a bit of a cynical question to ask. Something like this comes along, which is a great opportunity, and we know that opportunities like this are so few and far between for a South Asian actor in an American film, and it's exciting because it's Amazon Prime Video and it's going out to 190 countries. And like you said earlier, the next job may not be front and center. How does one sort of resign oneself to that kind of career and that kind of, journey?
Okay,
really?
so yeah, that's such a good question. You learn so early. The rejection is like bang on very early.
Mm,
In the first few years, I remember calling my mom a lot and saying, I had this audition, it went really well. And then she'd ask me about it 2 weeks later. And I was like, Mom, you can't ask me. If I don't call you, it means I didn't get it. And then, my dad would be like, how's it going? And I was like, good, Dad, but you're just constantly being rejected. And then when you get one film, you call them and maybe they don't know the names of the actors because it's such a small independent movie. And more, as the rejection happens, you start expecting the rejection, not the accepting. And that's how you're trained. So now no one can hurt me, honestly. And oddly enough, when that happened, I started working more. And it's been kind of great. Like, I don't care. I'm used to it now.
right. Were you never, in all these years, tempted to do the Bollywood film? I mean, you've done the indies with Meera, but were you ever tempted by that, or did it just not feel like something that you were interested in?
I think I was maybe tempted, but I also knew that it may not be the right fit.
Mm,
And also, Reggie, it's interesting because like we have a lot of dreams, but say I'm living in New York,
right.
there's also part of you that's a little lazy in how to chase a dream. Like you can't just show up in India and say, I'm really interested in doing Bollywood movies. Like you also,
Yeah.
it's not so much our choice, it's who calls us.
Sure.
And there's this illusion we have a choice.
Right.
We have a choice once we're hired. That's where I feel my liberty. But
you began, of course, your career opposite Denzel Washington in Mississippi Masala, and you worked
So
with
lucky.
Meera, of course, and you were lovely in that. And you worked with Meera a few times. You did the Perez Family. You did Kama Sutra. Do you see her often? I mean, she's also New York. She's also a New Yorker, isn't she? I mean, are you guys in touch still?
oh yeah, no, Mira's like family. She's like the most charismatic family member I have,
Uh-huh.
in that you've met Mira. She's
Yeah.
so electric. And she's also very caring. Like I'll call her when something's really affecting me. I know I can trust her. She also has been through so much. And so she knows what I'm talking about. Like sometimes you can't talk about the industry to other people. Mira
Right.
gets it.
Yeah.
So it's like a shorthand. I mean, we kind of grew up together a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So and she loves my parents and oh my God, I can't even talk about Mira. She's like right here,
Right. Right. I have to ask you, what is the instinct that drives the choices? What do you find yourself responding to? Is it purely the material that's out there? I mean, what do you find at this stage when you've done so much? What makes you say yes or no to the next gig?
So it's either the writing or the directors. If it's a great director and you're not in love with the script, you just think, well, I'm not reading it properly. Because if they're picking it, I trust them.
Right.
Or if the script is amazing and it's, in this case, unknown directors, then you're like, oh, let me give it a chance. So that's how I go. I read a lot. I'm very influenced by books and especially I watch a lot of foreign film. So whenever I see a character, like if I see a character in the middle of a hillside next to a garbage bin, I'll be like, can I do that? I've got very foreign movie taste, like Pasolini, Antonioni, all the neorealism from India to Italy to France. That's my taste. That doesn't come along often.
Right.
But if it does, that's me. And within that, I just look at good scripts if I can. But we don't have always that much choice. I like talking like this, but the truth is, sometimes you haven't worked for 3 months and you need to do something and you convince yourself the script's not bad.
Right.
But I don't know.
But has television and now sort of streaming just improved representation, diversity, opportunities for anyone that's not white in America?
Completely. I mean, for example, when I did Homeland,
Yeah.
Homeland changed the game for me.
Mm.
Only because it went to every country. It was a series, it was normal to show up on set and see someone from a different country speaking a different language. And I'd never experienced that. And so it not only helped us who were in it, but it also helped change the idea that people want to see this stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get away anymore with just like a non-diverse cast. It's
Right.
not interesting.
Finally, Sarita, is there something that you watched recently that you really enjoyed and that you'd strongly recommend?
My goodness.
Did I put you on a spot? I'm sorry. I know these are
Well,
tricky.
so just recently I was watching Criminal from Europe. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm
I've heard
obsessed
of
with it.
Okay.
Oh my God. And I also just saw the Indian film. I know it didn't come out just now, but Masan.
Yeah.
And
Is
I
it-
was like, oh my God. So those are the two things I've been watching.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Those are
What
great
about you?
recommendations. You know, I just discovered, I feel like this time I needed something light, and I discovered Schitt's Creek in the middle of all of this during the
I've
pandemic.
heard. Is it amazing?
It is so lovely. It's just what you need at a time when the spirits can be down. It's exactly the uplifting kind of material that one wants to kind of.
I'm so glad you said that. Two people have told me and I can't
Okay.
seem to click it on, but now I will. Yeah, if we
you
need
should,
it.
you should. And I just watched Mira's A Suitable Boy, which I think is very interesting. It drops soon on Netflix, so you have something to binge.
I can't wait for that to drop. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarita. Thank you so much. I really feel like you paved the way. You know, I feel like a lot of what a lot of the opportunities that brown actors, Indian actors are getting today is because of someone like you that paved the way and sort of did it and really went out there and put themselves out there and did the work for the rest of them. So thank you. And thank you
Thank
for
you,
for
Rajiv.
incredible work which is out there and we will revisit and watch over and over again. But thank you, and I really enjoyed Evil Eye. I should say here that Evil Eye is streaming on Amazon Prime Video. Watch it. It's actually something that really makes you proud. Plus, it's really a film you can easily get into. Thank you, Sarita, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajiv. Oh my God.
So much.
So good to see you.
So good to see you. Thank you. This was such an honor. I've been a really big fan, and I hope the next time is going to be face to face sometime. I'm looking forward.
Me too. And please do some more roundtables. Like, I'm
Thank
dying.
you.
I know it's COVID and it's hard. It's on Zoom, but
we're going to try to do it for the end of the year. Yeah. Thank you. So
Good.
that means so much that you even watched it. Thank you so much.
no, I watched the last one with the guys and I was like, I'd seen one of the series and I was like, oh, so lovely to see them in their homes talking
Thank
about
you.
what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you
great.
so much. That means so much that you're saying this. Thank you. All the
Okay.
best and see you soon. Thank you.
All the best.
Thanks,
Bye.
Rajiv.
Take care.